Packers versus Bears. Here we go again. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Packers 101. And today we're going to be previewing the Green Bay Packers, the greatest team in all of sports, going into Chicago to taking on the biggest disappointments of the 21st century, the Chicago Bears. Now, for once, the Bears are actually favored in this game by 1.5 points, and I left that prediction in my week one predictions. And I predicted the Packers to win, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth into this game, and we're going to look at all the matchups that are going on in this game. So the first matchup that I want to talk about in this Packers versus Bears game is Jordan Love versus the Bears defense. Now, the Bears defense last year, it was awful. Not good at all. They were the second worst team in defending the run. They gave the second most rushing yards in the entire league. Passing, they were 18th. Not too bad. They gave up the 29th most yards in the league, and they allowed the most points per game in the entire NFL. So those are obviously not great numbers to look at. Now, the Bears, credit to them, they made additions in the offseason to help their defense. They got TJ Edwards, who he's not bad, he can play, and Terrell Edmunds. He's also a decent player. And on the D line, they got Yannick Ngakoue on a 1-year deal, and he had 9.5 sacks for the Colts last year, so not bad. Do I think that's enough to completely fix all the issues with the Chicago defense? That would be an astounding no. I think the D line for the Bears is still very weak. I think that if Jordan Love gets enough time from the Packers offensive line, he can look just as good as any quarterback in the league. Any QB, good, great, bad, if you give them so much time, they're going to end up looking great because corners can only cover so long. And the Packers have some speed at wide receiver. Even though Christian Watson is out, Jaden Reed can fly. Aaron Jones is good as a pass catcher. So I think the Packers will be set if the O-line can protect well. The next matchup I want to take a look at is Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon versus the Bears defense. Now, I said it earlier, the Bears were 31st in stopping the run last year, and I still think that D-line is weak, as I stated earlier. So I think the Packers are going to get majority of their yards through the ground game. Now, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, they're both capable backs. Aaron Jones is more the speed slasher guy, and Dillon is the bruiser, and he'll get the tough yards. So I think that both of them are going to get a lot of carries. And honestly, I could see the Packers running on 2/3 of their plays and then passing on the final third. I think that that's the formula for Green Bay to be successful this year. They have a good O-line, and they have two good running backs. Why not help your young quarterback out by establishing a strong run game? Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be situations where Jordan Love has to step up and make the throw. But in his first real start, I'm not counting 2021 in Kansas City, I think that this will be a good matchup for Jones and Dillon to both get a lot of yards. So if you got Jones or Dillon on your fantasy team, I would strongly recommend starting them this week because I think Chicago, while they definitely made improvements, I'm not going to come out here and say Chicago's defense is the worst in the league because it's not. I think that belongs to the Vikings. I do think that Jones and Dillon are going to have a lot of yards rushing. So I like the matchup of Green Bay running versus the Bears defending the run. And the final matchup that I want to talk about is probably the most important one, to be honest. And it's the Chicago offense against the Green Bay defense. And this is where I think that things are going to be. I think this is where the game is going to be decided. So the Green Bay defense, roster-wise, it's pretty good. Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary coming back from injury, Quay Walker, Devondre Campbell, Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas. There's a lot of good players on the Packers defense. Plus the new ones, Devontae Wyatt. I think he's going to make a great year two jump. Lucas Van Ness looked really good in the preseason. I think the Packers D-line, on paper, it could be one of the best in the league. Now, where I do have some concerns are Joe Barry as the coordinator. He likes to play a lot of soft zone, and teams have picked that apart over the past few seasons. Not a fan of that. I definitely think the style needs to be adjusted. And if Barry has a good season as a coordinator, there's a lot of potential for this Packers defense. People were talking about it last year. Thought it'd be a top 10 unit in the league, and unfortunately it disappointed at times. But there are flashes of potential in the Packers defense, so I definitely think that they can hold their own. Now, Chicago's offense, they're a great rushing team, and the reason for that is clear. Justin Fields. He's a great running quarterback. As a rushing quarterback, one of, if not the best in the league, even to Lamar Jackson. As a passer, he's a bit inconsistent, but he still made some good plays, so I'll give him his flowers there. And now he has a true wide receiver one in DJ Moore. Now, if Joe Barry lets Jair Alexander shadow DJ Moore for the whole game, I'm not too concerned. Jair, when he's allowed to fully shadow a receiver, shut down Justin Jefferson when they played him, holding him to only one catch when he led the league in pretty much every statistical category. So I'm not too concerned about that matchup. But a matchup that I could be concerned about is Darnell Mooney versus our CB2, whether that's Keyshawn Nixon or Rasul Douglas. That could spell some danger for the Packers because Darnell Mooney is a capable slot wide receiver, so I could see him getting open on some routes. So yeah, another thing that I will give the Bears credit for is they fixed their O-line pretty well. So I do think that will be improved. I don't think it'll be perfect, but it'll be much better than the 55 sacks they gave up last year. So I think that this is where the game is going to be won. The Bears offensive line versus the Packers defensive line. I think whichever of those two groups wins the day, that's whose team is going to win the game. So that being said, I could see this one being a relatively low-scoring game because I think both teams are going to try and establish the run and have some success doing it. So I'm going to pick the Packers to win 24-20. And, this is week one. That's just what I think is going to happen. But feel free to let me know your predictions of how this game is going to go in the comments. I know Bears fans are going to roast me in the comments, and that's totally fine. I welcome it. Feel free to post your own predictions below, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. See you next time.